So I'm out here testing my Sony FX30 with my new Sony NX800 camcorder, and I'm just testing to see how both image qualities look together. I'm doing sort of an interview style. I got one at an angle, one kinda straight on, but I could look straight past it and see how it looks, or I can look right over here, but I think I'm gonna look straight through and see how that looks. So I'm just gonna record both of these at the same time. One's a little wider, the NX800's a little closer. I am getting into the video side of my business, and I have a Sony A7 IV, a Sony A7R5 to use for photography, and I am now using, right now, straight on with me is an FX30, and off to the side, zoomed in a little, I'm using the new Sony NX800 camcorder. It is the cheaper version of the new Z200. It just don't have time code or SDI ports. It's dark and gloomy out right now, so I'm using a Godox 60 watt LED light just to put a little light on my face. And that on my FX30 I'm using a Diety shotgun microphone. It's a D4. On my NX800 I have a Sony XLR microphone, and I'm just seeing how both of them sound compared to each other. I don't know if my NX800 is going to pick up the sound from the Atomos Ninja 5 that I have connected to the top of it, but I'm hoping everything goes good. As I'm doing this, it's getting darker and darker. So I'm also off to the side here, I'm using an iPad Pro with the Sony app, Monitor and Control app, I think it's called. And right now I have both cameras connected to it, and I'm using it in multiple camera views, and so I can see that one and this one and see how they're looking. I can glance over and look at it, and it's got a slight delay, but it's really nice to have. So if you're doing an interview, or you have multiple cameras, that you're doing a speech, a lecture, a concert, maybe recording a mass at a church, you can check your monitors and see if everything's lined up and everything's exposed right. So that's pretty cool. Sony's coming out with great things and new additions to the newer cameras. They're slowly updating their firmware to give a feature that the new cheaper camera has, and why don't the flagship have? Who knows, but they're slowly but surely updating they're slowly but surely updating their firmware to give you these features that we have. The new NX800, we don't want that to fall asleep. The new NX800, it has a new auto framing feature that it uses a portion of the sensor, and you can pick between 3 crop sizes, small, medium, and large, and you can pick different speeds. So if somebody's up on a stage giving a speech, or you're trying to do 2 things at once, and you can put it in auto framing mode, and you can pick the crop size if you want more zoomed in on the body, or a wider shot. If that person walks across stage back and forth within the image of what you have it set on, your focal length, you can follow him around and the camera's going to follow him. It's going to pan right or left. It's actually even going to zoom in and out while that person is walking towards the camera or backing up from it. So it's pretty much a cameraman built inside of your own camera. It's pretty neat. I just tried it out this past weekend at a wedding that I just took the photos for. The bride asked me if I could record the first dance, if that was possible, and I said, no, I can do that. I have an extra mirrorless camera. I shoot with two bodies, so why not? I was going to just set up my one mirrorless camera and put that on there. Since I have the new NX800, I could do this for her while I'm still taking photos. Photos were the main priority. That's what I'm getting paid for, so that worked out great. Couple little hiccups in it, couldn't help it, but some people walked in front of the camera. I placed a flexible tracking spot right on the bride, and somebody walked in front of the camera, actually stood in front of it. It was the bride's father. You think I'm going to tell him to get out of the way? He did move out of the way a couple seconds later, but it wasn't a big deal. It was a nice shot though, because the father's there watching his daughter finally getting married, being so happy. So I then just tapped on the groom, and now I started following the groom around while those two were doing a choreographed dance in front of everybody. So that was pretty cool with that auto framing, and it I even showed her at the end of the night during the reception, and she just loved it. Oh my God, did she love it. So that's neat that Sony's coming out with these new features in their newer cameras. It's been a long time since Sony updated their camcorders, and camcorders do a lot of work that people don't realize. Yes, it's a 1-inch sensor. It's not meant for super low light like an FX30, FX3, FX6, A7 IV. It's not meant for low light. You can get away with it. I'm not saying you can't use it in low light, but it does get noisy quicker than crop sensor or a full frame. If you buy the NX800 or Z200 thinking that you're going to get the same low light capabilities like your FX3 or FX6, you got a rude awakening. If you think you're going to get the NX800 or Z200 and think it's going to be a low light beast like your full frame or your crop sensor, it's not gonna compete with those sensors. Not saying it can't do good in low light, but like right now, it's kind of dark and gloomy out. It's now 20 to 6 in October. It's actually October 1st, so it's not that bright out. So I am adding light. I'm actually probably underexposed right now. So why don't we take a pause in this video and let me brighten up these cameras.